Lost Records is the first of a two-part series based around the lives of four teenage girls and the adults they become. It follows a group of outcasts, Swan, Autumn, Kat and Nora, as they form their tight-knit friendship throughout one fateful summer which ends with them swearing never to speak to each other again after a life-shattering incident. 27 years later, a mysterious package ends on one of their doorsteps, and the friends are forced to meet back up and recover their memories to solve the puzzle of who and why the package was sent.
Hurry! Get up! Come on!
Lost Records is Dontnod's latest game based on the lives of young teenage girls with a time-altering mechanic. Say what you want about Dontnod's output, and unfortunately many do, but they've got a type. Lost Records switches from modern-day adults as they meet up for the first time in nearly 3 decades and their memories as teenagers. In both instances, you control the main character of Swan, an introverted teen in her final summer in the rural backwater town of Velvet Cove, before her family upsticks and moves to Canada. After a potentially violent encounter in the car park of a movie theatre, she meets Autumn, Kat and Nora, and the four instantly bond over their intensely boring small town lives.
Backup's done. Perfect. I can film you a bit before I leave, Pumpkin. Let me just grab my camcorder.
The game's main view is through Swan's ever-present camcorder. She's a compulsive videographer, and it is through her setups that we learn more about the rest of the cast and the formation of their garage punk band, The Spew, which gets hastily renamed to Bloomin' Rage. During one of their many hikes through the local forests, they stumble upon an abandoned shack, and despite the signs that all is not what it seems, they decide to make it their hideout. Spending their nights there camping somehow awakens a supernatural presence nearby, which seems benign at first, but then its true nature is yet to be revealed, and is central to the eerie package they receive 27 years later.
Awesome. I love movies.
Cool. Not much to do around here anyways, right?
Yeah. It's a nice theater.
Let me get that slushie started for you. Just a sec.
There we go. Oh! Swan? Autumn.
If any of this sounds like 100 other things you've seen or read, you're not mistaken. Lost Records grabs from so many influences that can almost induce a sort of whiplash as you switch from one cultural reference to another. 4 kids dabble with dark forces in their small town, leave, lose all memory of it, and then have to return as adults. 4 outcast teenagers and a supernatural element in a small town. It also borrows quite heavily from previous Dontnod games, as the lead character uses the camera all the goddamn time. The time-altering mechanic has at least been slightly retooled, as it's your dialogue and action choices as an adult that alter how the teenage sections go, and vice versa. It feels like the game tries to take too many elements from too many different areas, and it stumbles trying to establish its own identity amidst everyone else's ideas.
She's got more than enough.
Cornered.
No problem. I knew something was up.
I thought I was toast.
So, what's up with the camera?
Oh,
Yeah, what are you making, Swan? Porn?
I'm making, like, kind of a Velvet Cove memoir.
Sick!
That sounds conceited.
No, it sounds cool.
Yeah, I film stuff around town and in the woods.
My dad has, one of those things. He got it.
The game uses the camcorder as the primary lens for the player. In addition to shooting a music video for the band, there's a vast series of checklist objects, animals and themes for you to record to form a little memoir video rolls as Swan attempts to document every last inch of Velvet Cove before she leaves. I found recording these little snippets ground down the game's pacing, and I raced through each of them as quickly as I could, and I ignored all the rest. A few of the more plot-centric ones were more interesting to complete, such as the music video hike, which is then replayed with music and quite a memorable scene. Another area where Lost Records apes previous Dontnod games is in its 2 steps forward, 1 step back execution. The dialogue's very good and captures the energy of the group, but in the close-up scenes, and there's an awful lot of them, it's let down by the poor character facial animations. The story is engaging, but only when it gets going, and it takes its sweet time getting there. The characters are compelling, both as teenagers and adults, but the constant snapping back and forth between the two kills the momentum in several key scenes for me. The tension and the drama build nicely, but the ending scene falls completely flat on its face due to some really bizarre scene choices.
I stopped going to the movie palace as much once I met you guys. I still love curling up with my cat and a good movie, but it was our summer, you know? Our little group.
If there's a main strength to Dontnod's writing, is that they seem to be able to capture the exuberance and unlimited nature of youth. It has a unique intensity and they nail it in Lost Records, along with the rural 90s setting. The soundtrack is great and, for the most part, the game looks really good. The central mystery is introduced in a tense building manner which works. There's a big issue trying to critique a story when you're only hit the halfway point, which is why I've not really focused on it for this review, as I'm well aware that anything I've read into could be massively re-evaluated come the middle of April when Tape 2 drops, which is something I cannot wait for.
Nora always had a way with words.
The soul of a poet. You know, I had this intuition that the four
And I
of
guess
us
the highest praise you can give part 1 of any story is that it has you waiting on tenterhooks for the next one.